meeting of your Newark City Council to order. Autumn, please call the roll.
Mr. Marmee?
Present.
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Bubb?
Here.
Mr. Cost?
Here.
Mr. Fennell? Mr. Frazier?
Here.
Ms. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Labutus?
Here.
And Mr. Lang?
Here.
We have 9 here this evening. If you please rise for the invocation by Mr. Labutus, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, as we come to you in prayer, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us and this time to come together and discuss the issues and legislation of the city. I ask that you would be in our discussions and the legislation and help us to keep in mind your vision for our city. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Labutus. Next on the agenda, we have caucus. That's the time for council to discuss anything pertaining to the agenda tonight. Do we have anything?
President,
Mr. Marmee.
make a motion to excuse Mr. Fennell.
Motion by Mr. Marmee to excuse Mr. Fennell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you, Mr. Marmee. Next, we have our minutes of our August 19, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Labutus.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. We have 2 reports this evening from standing committees, one from finance and one from service. Without objection, those will be received and filed. Next under communications, we have Mayor Hall to present a proclamation for River Roundup. Mayor?
Thank you. Denise, will you join me up front, please? Take this here. As everybody knows, this Saturday, or if you don't know, you'll find out tonight, is River Roundup again. And what a wonderful project. The weather looks good. We're crossing our fingers, and so I'm going to present a proclamation in that result. Whereas it is with great pride that on Saturday, September 7th, 2019, we celebrate the 25th annual Licking County River Roundup, where citizens come together to participate in a hands-on cleanup of our Licking County waterways. Over the years, the extremely effective roundup has gained great momentum. Last year, approximately 300 volunteers and local leaders pulled nearly 300 tires, 3,500 pounds of trash, and over 3,700 pounds of recyclables out of our county waterways and surrounding riverbanks. In collaboration with the Licking County River Roundup event, the City of Newark encourages everyone in the community, from families and organizations to public officials and senior citizens, to work together to keep our waterways clean and preserve our natural resources. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Hall, Mayor of the great City of Newark, do hereby proclaim Saturday, September 7th, 2018, as Licking County River Roundup Day. And Denise, if you would please share a few words with us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
sure.
Mayor Hall.
Yep.
We always can count on you to support the event. This is actually extra.
Could I have you go over there so we
can
perfect recorded? Perfect.
No problem.
Thank you.
This year's actually an extra big year for River Roundup, because when we went through the history books, this seems to be the 25th time that River Roundup has ever occurred. It started in the late 80s, and this is the 25th time. It started with just a few miles. We're now up to 30-something miles cleaned up in one day, and more volunteers. But some really interesting things this year. We did our poster contest, open to K through 12 students in the county, and I am so impressed by all the entries we get. But we got a beautiful watercolor of a great blue heron, our symbol for River Roundup, as our top winner. Emma Rima, high schooler, just graduated and is off to college. And then we also had even more sponsors, supporters than ever before. That's the proclamation. Where's the one I want? This one. Amazing list of sponsors. Of course, Newark is right up there. The Stormwater Utility taking the lead. But we are really excited about that. And we got recognized regionally and nationally as the best river cleanup in the area. So Appalachian Voice Magazine, Paddling Treasure, Licking River, River Hero, Licking County River Roundup. So that's the entire Appalachian area, all the states in Appalachia. And then we're also a special cleanup location this year for the American Rivers National River Cleanup Organization. We actually have a group of the national sponsors from JP Morgan Chase coming to Licking County after our River Roundup, the week after. And they are going to be doing a cleanup in our community. They could have chosen anywhere in the region to do a cleanup, and they chose to come to Licking County because of our River Roundup. So We're not just fabulous in this area, we're being noticed across multiple states and nationally. Thank you all for your support. This Saturday's River Roundup, there are still spaces to volunteer if you're interested. Check out eventbrite.com and you can register and participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Denise, once again, it's this Saturday and the times.
The earliest sections will start at 8 in the morning, and then by 9 o'clock, everybody is cleaning up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have comments from citizens. That's the time for you to be heard. This is not a debate with council or a question and answer period with council. This is just an opportunity for you to state your opinion. Do we have anyone? There's two sections, one after the legislation. Do we have anyone for this first section that would like to speak? Please put up your hand. Okay, moving on. We have ordinances on the second reading, 19-17.
Ordinance 19-17 by Mr. Cost, Mr. Rath, Mr. Frazier, Mr. Lang, an ordinance amending sections 890.03, 890.051, 890.062, 890.063, 890.01, 890.10, and enacting sections 890.141, 890.23, 890.24, 890.25, 890.26, 890.27, 890.28, 890.281, 890.28, or excuse me, 29, 890.30, 890.31, 890.32, 890.33, 890.34, 890.35, 890.36, .37, .38, let's just do that, of chapters 890 of the codified ordinances of the city of Newark, Ohio regarding the levying and collecting of municipal income taxes.
Nice job. You've heard the second reading of 19-17. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Ms. Hall.
motion to adopt 1917.
Motion to adopt 1917 by Ms. Hall.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Do we have any discussion on 1917? Or would we like Autumn to read it again?
Yes.
Okay. Seeing none, I'll please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mr. Fennell? Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
And Mr. Lang?
Yes.
1917 passes 9-0. Next, we have resolutions on the second reading, 19-57.
Resolution 19-57 by Mr. Marmee, Mr. Lang, Mr. Rath, Mr. Cost. A resolution appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation.
Heard the second reading of 19-57. What is your wish?
Mr. President.
Mr. Marmee.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 19-57.
Second. Motion to adopt by Mr. Marmee, second by Mr. Cost. Do we have any discussion on 19-57? Seeing none, I'll please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mr. Fennell? Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
And Mr. Lang?
Yes.
And 19-57 passes 9-0. Next, we go to resolutions on the first reading, 19-59.
Resolution 19-59 by Mr. Marmee, Mr. Cost, Mr. Rath, Mr. Lang, a resolution appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation.
19-59 is on its first reading, will be held till our next meeting, September 16th. Next, we have 1960.
Resolution 1960 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Cost, Mr. Lang, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program and to execute contracts as required.
19-60 will be held for our next meeting, September 16th. And finally, on the first reading this evening, we have 19-61.
Resolution 19-61 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Cost, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Lang, a resolution of consent authorizing the Service Director of the City of Newark, Ohio to enter into contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation for replacement of guardrail end treatments on the National Highway Systems routes through Newark, State Route 16, State Route 79, and State Route 13.
And 19-61 will be held for our next meeting, September 16th. And that concludes our legislation this evening. Thank you. One more time, we have comments from citizens. Again, the same rules apply. This is not a debate with council or a question and answer period. This is your chance to be heard. If you have anyone for this section, if you do, raise your hand. Come on up. Anyone else? Okay. I guess you're our lone speaker this evening.
Start the time clock.
Dwayne Anderson, 914B Empire Drive, Newark, Ohio. At the last council meeting, a gentleman was talking about Home Depot and the grass and all that. I got a chance to go look at it, and it's terrible. I don't know if council can do anything about it, but like the gentleman said, it is really bad. Also, on the bike path, I don't know if city council does anything on that or not, but you need more trash cans. I walk from Rotary Park across the expressway, then back, and there's only one trash can in that 1.25 miles there. Now to my good friend Jeremy Blake. Jeremy, I've known you since mid-2015, and at that time I believe I said to you, you can't really be voting for Clinton. And you said I offended you by saying that. Donna Gibson was sitting there. It was at the Sparta. Well, I want to clear up some things that has been printed in the Advocate. One being, you said in the Advocate you had one ticket. I see on 3797 a speeding ticket. 62301 open container.
Okay, let's not make this too personal here. If you have a comment about something about the city,
okay, it's more than that. The Advocate said you told the Advocate there was 522 children in Licking County's JFS, Children's Services. It made it sound like it was that many in Newark. It's not. It's that many in Licking County total. You also stated we have good community organizations, which we do. JFS, United Way, Salvation Army, Coalition of Housing. Deb Tegmeyer is the executive director of Coalition of Housing. Coalition of Housing started in 1992. Deb took over in 95. Her budget was $25,000. Today it's $2.7 million. All these organizations do a great job of handing out, but not curing the problem. So I would suggest to council or whoever, they go take a course in problem solving, because it sticks out like a sore thumb what's causing poverty, homelessness, and addiction. Also, I'd like to know from council, who all's taken money from unions that's running for offices? Anybody?
Keep going.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from administration this evening?
Yes, sir.
Director Vaughn.
I have two items. There'll be another neighborhood community cleanup on September the 7th. It will serve the southwest side of the city. Specifically, will run from South 6th Street to 21st Street, south of West Main Street, to the city's edge. Everybody clear? Okay. I just want to make sure you could get in your head where that was going to be. Each household will be allowed to take materials for disposals to dumpsters. Freon, refrigerators, air conditioners, freezers, dehumidifiers, televisions, household hazardous waste will not be accepted. Businesses are not included. It starts at 8 a.m. It'll probably start a little early, but officially it starts at 8 a.m. and it'll go till 12 p.m. It's a free service. If you have something that specifically needs a vehicle to be picked up, please call community development, make an appointment. They'll come by. You get like a 15-minute window, so please don't when they show up isn't the time to start getting it out of the basement. Please have it ready. And obviously this is a sign of just another collaboration by myself, Director Rhodes, and Mark Motter, involving Parks Department employees, Department of Development, and Property Maintenance. And I'm going to give a plug to Tim Hickman and Joe Paul. Without them, this just doesn't work. I can't say enough about how hard they work and what a great job they do. And that leads me to my next item, which is...
That's one thing. Do they bring that somewhere, or could they put it out to the curb? Just put it out to the curb in those areas, or do they have to bring those things somewhere if they're...
If they need a pickup, somebody will come and get it. They can bring it, but they will be traveling the streets in these areas. Actually, Melissa sent out 1,040 letters to all the residents in these areas. So they've been notified by mail.
Okay, perfect.
Home Depot was asked about. They currently receive no tax credits. They agreed to remediate the pond and the growth around the fence, through the fence. There's a contract already put together. It's been sent to their corporate office. They allege they cannot sign a contract here locally. It has to go to corporate. With that in mind, if they don't act on the remediation in a reasonable amount of time, Property Maintenance is prepared to fine them for not acting on it when they've agreed to. So we will give them a period of grace to correct the problem and hold them accountable if they don't. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the update. Anyone else from the city? Honorable Law Director Sassen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll pass.
Thank you, Director Sassen. Mayor Hall.
Yeah, we had a very busy Friday night. A lot of people saw some Model Ts run around town, and kind of neat. But it was great that they chose our area to rendezvous. And of course, they were in Lincoln County over the weekend. Looks like weather's going to be good through this weekend. And just want to remind everyone, of course, not only do we have high school football, it is that time of year. Friday night is the cemetery walk. And for those of you who have not done that through the Lincoln County Historical Society, Echoes from the Past, that is a very neat event at our own Cedar Hill Cemetery over on Cedar Street. It starts at 6 o'clock, and I believe it features notable women of our county that are buried over in the cemetery, and it's acted by actors with Lincoln County Players, so it is very neat and mic'd up, and a very nice thing. Of course, River Roundup, we talked about Saturday. The 34th annual Light the Night car show is on Saturday also. That helps fund the courthouse lighting, which is outstanding also. And then this coming up is United Way Week of Caring. So there'll be a lot of volunteerism efforts starting Friday. Kickoff is at 11:30 at the Canal Market District, and there's a lot of activities planned all through next week. And I appreciate everyone's help to make the community a better place. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Marmon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I need to call a Finance Committee meeting, and with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marmon. Mr. Rath.
I'll call a Service Committee meeting, and I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that there's greatness in that we live in a country that we do and able to express ourselves the way we do. And Mr. Anderson, I don't remember the conversation that we had, but if we had a disagreement in presidential candidates, then we did. I just don't remember the conversation. Regarding your comment regarding the 522, that was from John Fisher, saying that December 31st, at the end of December 31st, 2018, there were 522 children in care with the Department of Job and Family Services. And I think that you're referring to a guest column that I wrote there. And so that's, I quoted the number correctly in the column. So, but I do agree with you. I mean, the social services in our community do a great job, but they do need to have some central coordination, providing better, improved services. Many of our citizens are having to travel across our city, going to the health department, going to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, going to downtown. And so we do need to have some more centralized intake process in dealing with our social services. And Deb Tegmeyer, I'm actually having a meeting with her on Wednesday, so I serve on several committees with her. So we do have some good people in our community to help folks. But the thing I wanted to mention tonight to council is, I had a really good experience with Assistant Fire Chief Decker and Captain Bolte and the guys at Station 1. Friday night, I was able to do a ride-along with the fire department, and we got to see some medical runs. Saw a heart attack and a stroke. Saw an attempted suicide, and just saw the seriousness of what the guys do with on a day-to-day basis. And it just sort of reinforced my appreciation for what they do on a 24/7 basis here in our community. And so I just appreciate everything, and thanks for allowing me to do that ride along on Friday. And with that, I'll yield.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mr. Bub?
I will pass, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bub. Mr. Cost?
I'd like to reinforce something the mayor said. Friday night was phenomenal. It was so nice to see the downtown that busy, that much activity, people really enjoying everything downtown. The Model T thing was big, and farmers market, and it was just an incredible night. All the STEM projects around the square, it was an incredible night. One issue that came up was about who we have taken contributions from, and the records of where our contributions have come from and where our expenditures are. Those are public records, and if anybody is curious about where the money comes from or where the money is spent, they can go to the Board of Elections, and that is on public record for everyone to see. Thank you. I'll pass.
Mr. Cost? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. President, and to follow up on that comment, it's actually available online, so you can go to the Licking County Board of Elections and search and find everybody's campaign finance report. So we've had a couple weeks off. I want to thank the mayor and the administration on Everett Park, and seeing that opening and seeing the progress that we've made and the investment that we have in our community and the beautification that we've been doing. It's really inspiring. I also want to thank the administration, Barbara Gilks, the service department, and the Parks Department on North Street Park. They continue to make progress. Equipment continues to keep on coming in. We have our first HHC meeting on the 12th at the GMP Hall at 7 p.m. And we're going to kind of talk about the next steps with that, where we continually get updates from Barbara and the administration, and we really do appreciate the hard work that's going in there. Another item when it comes to the fire department is a $1,000 funding designation with 1959 for PTSD for the Newark Fire Department. And as part of those calls that happen, addressing and giving an outlet for our first responders to address the things that they see and encourage them to make sure that they get any help that's required and be an advocate for them as well. I'm excited for River Roundup on this Saturday and the 25 years of trying to make Licking County improved. And I want to thank the administration for the neighborhood cleanup that continues to be a success in our community. And thank you for organizing it and doing your part to clean up the streets of Newark. With that, I will.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Ms. Hall?
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question about the trash. Can people leave out paint, anything like that? You may have mentioned that, but I didn't understand them.
Ma'am, I believe that would fall under hazardous material.
Hazardous material, okay. Even if it's dry, if it's been left over?
That would be a question for community development.
Oh, okay. All right.
I couldn't answer that. I apologize.
Thank you. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Mr. Levitas?
Just wanted to take a moment to thank the administration and everyone that was involved with the Newark Skate Park opening a few weeks ago. That was a great Saturday morning. I know we heard people from Lancaster that were there, people that drove down from Powell, and I know as I was leaving, I ran into a gentleman from Mansfield who didn't realize it was the ribbon cutting, but he was excited to be there. And he was wondering if we could talk to Mansfield about getting one up there. So he was excited about that, and just more investment in our community. I know that as council, a lot of times we deal with the issues of the city and try to legislate around those. But just as a moment of perspective, really taking a look at where we're at as a city and the appreciation of what we have currently, and that we might very well be in the middle of what at some point we will refer to as the good old days. So yes, there are issues that we have to deal with. We understand that. There's also a lot of good that is happening in the city as well. With that, I will go.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. And Mr. Lang.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start. I'd like to thank the administration for all the work that's been done to date on the fire station. I think it's been an extremely transparent process. I recall sitting down with Director Rhodes, gosh, I feel like it was almost a year ago now, fuzzy on the dates, but there's been multiple opportunities for all of us on council to sit down with Director Rhodes, Director Baum, the fire chief, ask all the questions we want to ask questions about how we're going to fund it, where we're going to put it, why we want to put it there, how traffic's going to work, to me, it has been a very well vetted process. I appreciate the opportunity to come and observe the bid opening. Mr. Cost and I were able to observe that, and then the Board of Controls meeting where we actually sat down and went through the contract, and the Board of Control approved all the different options that we're going to move forward with. And I guess I'd like to thank the Finance Committee for moving forward. Obviously, being the representative of the 5th Ward, where this fire station would be, got a vested interest in this station, and feel like it's really going to do a lot of good to serve the folks on the west end who, at this point, some of the areas we're looking at, potentially 10 plus minutes on average to get to those areas of town. So, and Mr. Anderson, I appreciate your question. I think it's a relevant one on an evening where our collective bargaining agreement contracts were brought up multiple times in the Finance Committee as kind of a rationale for not supporting or having further questions. I have not received any money from the unions. Again, you can go online and find that information out as to who has received money from the unions. I do think it's a relevant question when we're talking about the fire station and those issues get brought up. But bottom line, like I said, I would just like to thank the administration. I think we've very well vetted this station out. I think there's been many opportunities to sit down with the chief and ask direct questions that I think tonight were pretended like it was sort of pretended like we hadn't asked those questions or had that discussion before. So I think it was a little bit disingenuous. But with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. I'd just like to add my thanks for all of you for coming this evening. This is your Newark City Council, so we appreciate your input. Our next meeting is September 16th at 5:45. Committees will start. Our next full council will be that same evening, the 16th, which is almost 2 weeks from now on a Monday at 7 o'clock. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Cost, second by Mr. Frazier. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign.